So, Ragiroth do.
Ragiroth Enterprises.
How's it going, everybody? Rich from Ragiroth Enterprises here. So two games that have come up in a lot of my videos since I made this channel, I guess maybe about a half a year ago, have been Dissidia Final Fantasy NT and Ball Fighterz. Be it a video just talking about like, oh, how a character could play in the game, or talking about one of the trailers, showing a character off. It's been at least maybe 50% of my videos, I'm gonna say. So they're both out now. They both actually came out, if you live in America, about a few days apart. And I want to do a video, I guess, now that the game, I've had some time with them for like about a month. Figured to talk about how I feel about both of them. These aren't really like reviews. It's just kind of what I feel. And I know a lot of people are going to say like, oh, they're apples and oranges. They're totally different games. But okay, yeah, it's not the strongest comparison. But at the end of the day, it's like they're both fighting games. Both have been featured heavily on my channel. Both are 3 versus 3 in some way. Both feature franchises that are either very big anime or manga series or just big video game in general. And they both feature Christopher Sabat as a voiceover. Yeah, we'll go with that. But again, if you notice the title of the video, it's not what is the better game, it's what is the better overall experience. And many people have probably decided which one they like better now. But it's just what I kind of think, and I'm gonna say this: if you like Dragon Ball Z more than Final Fantasy, get Fighters. If you like Final Fantasy more than Dragon Ball Z, just get Dissidia. I don't think there's that much of a difference where you'll like the other one over. I mean, people like me, I'm a huge fan of both, so it's not as clear cut. But I'll just say that I am gonna, even though it's not really a review, I'm gonna kind of treat it like a review in the sense where I'll say graphics, sound, gameplay, controls, yada yada yada, and say which one I think is overall the better one right now. So yeah, I'll start the review and hope you enjoy. And I guess first I'll start with the graphics and sound. They're kind of two things that are just kind of like, not really things I care that much about and things I can talk about quickly. I'm gonna say this: both games, to me, in my opinion, look gorgeous, at least for what they're trying to do. I think since Dragon Ball Fighterz has been released, people were just amazed by how it looks. It literally looks like you're playing the show. I mean, I'm not bashing Xenoverse's graphics. I think Xenoverse is a pretty nice looking game, but Fighters, I mean, to be fair, ArcSea's, their games always look sexy as hell, to be honest. And Dissidia, it looks like kind of a mix of Final Fantasy 15 and Dead or Alive game, I guess, because Team Ninja makes it, so it has some Dead or Alive aesthetics. I've seen some people not like the graphics for it. I disagree. I think the graphics are pretty great. I guess I'll say maybe some of the effects aren't that great. Maybe that's what people are more so talking about. Character models themselves look amazing, though, and I think the stages look pretty good too. Yeah, maybe not amazing, but everything about both games looks pretty good. More so Fighters, but they both look amazing for what they're going for. I would actually go as far to say they're two of the most beautiful looking fighting games I've ever seen, and that's a bit silly to say because games just keep looking better and better as time goes on. And yes, I know, there's still Caliber 6. You're not out yet. Wait your turn. Sound, I'm not talking about sound effects and all that, but like the music in both games is pretty good. ArcSea's is kind of known for their music. I would say Fighters isn't their strongest set of pieces, but they're still pretty good, especially for a Dragon Ball Z game. Some are definitely better than others, but there's still some ones I really like. Dissidia has some really good song selections. And the cool thing is they have remixes and then the original. I will say I think some of the remixes aren't amazing. It seems like the songs that I really like, the remixes aren't great, maybe because I have a higher standard for that song, and there's remixes of songs that I'm less crazy about I actually think are pretty good. Yeah, they're not the best remixes. I think maybe they tried a little too hard to be electronic. I think there could have been a little more like rock or metal ones. But they're not bad, and I do appreciate it. Overall, both games have pretty good music. And I'm glad they both have English voices, especially with Fighter. I mean, I don't think most of us expected an English voice with Fighters. It's just that some of ArcSea's most recent games haven't been having English voiceovers. But yeah, I think both are pretty good. on graphics and sound, and not that's really detracting much from it anyway, even if they weren't, at least for me at least. So controls, Fighters basically, plays kind of like a Guilty Gear or Marvel vs. Capcom game. Controls are very tight, fluid. Haven't really had much of an issue. Sometimes things are a little unresponsive. Yeah, I mean, nothing that really stood out as a problem there to me. Dissidia, sometimes I think it is overall pretty good. I think sometimes it can feel a little sluggish, especially compared to the PSP games. And, I'm not going to really hold this against it, but the game in America kind of started off with X being attack and then circle being jump. And most of us that play the PSP games are used to the opposite, so we kind of had to they thankfully added that option into when the game came out, but like the beta and stuff, a lot of us got really used to that, or had to get really used to that. That kind of threw things off. But now I'm thankfully, back how I was with the old games, where just X is jump and circle is brave attack. So I'm used to that again, thankfully. Sometimes I do kind of do the wrong move, mainly with the EX moves or the directional and all that. But yeah, controls aren't, they're pretty good. I mean, yeah, they're not perfect, but both games are fairly good control schemes. Now, okay, gameplay. Like I said, Fighters is like Marvel vs. Capcom mixed with Guilty Gear, and it's like looks and plays amazing. Yeah, the cool thing is it is technical, but it's also very accessible to people. The more casual people, put it that way. So it's I think that's one thing good, really awesome about the game. It's kind of accessible to both people. It's fast and frantic. It's how a DBZ game should be. And 3 versus 3 is always fun. Mixing teams together, seeing where characters work best with each other, and all that stuff is always really great. And it's something you don't see as much, especially with Marvel vs. Capcom kind of going down 2 versus 2 as opposed to 3 versus 3. Guilty Gear and BlazBlue games never really kind of mix with the team thing. I mean, I guess Cross Tank Battle's kind of doing what Infinite is doing with 2 versus 2, which is cool. But yeah, and it's very accurate to the source material, like all the effects. The general feeling of it. They tried really hard to represent the anime and manga. Took some liberties. Usually the liberties they took, though, were from other games, which is always good, too.
There were a few things I forgot to mention that I dislike about the gameplay of Fighters. One is that I kind of wish there was a more traditional throw, because first of all, it would be cool to see characters do a throw. There is sort of a throw. It's like the R1 button where you kind of do that dash, and then if you hit them and they're not doing anything, it's unblockable, and it's kind of like the dust attack that Guilty Gear had. It's something, I don't know, I would have just preferred just a regular kind of throw move. Secondly, I kind of wish the characters had a bit more moves. I mean, some actually have a very decent amount, while others have very little. I understand it's some characters just don't do as much things that could be represented as moves in the game that are from the show or the manga. I still think maybe they could have taken some liberties and add a couple more moves for some characters. Thirdly, is that I kind of don't like that some, if that's a word, thirdly, I don't like that some characters, some have moves that are kind of locked behind auto combos. Frieza's move he used to kill Krillin, or like Cell's bear hug. I kind of wish they could do that manually. I mean, I know some attacks might not be very balanced, but I think there could have been a way they could have balanced them. That also leads me to another thing. I don't mind there being like one set of auto combos, but I do think maybe there being 3 sets of them is a little overkill. And I will say sometimes the Z-dash, or Z-burst, the move where you dash towards them, it can be a bit obnoxious. I mean, I understand it's part of the strategy of the game, and it is a good way to kind of get in there. But it does be a little obnoxious and relentless when people kind of just constantly rely on that. I will admit, I kind of get in the habit of relying on it a lot myself as well. But I kind of wish the game didn't, force you to do that as much. I guess it is punishable though if you block it. But even still, I kind of wish it wasn't such like a pushed feature of the game sometimes. But those are just a few gripes I have. Otherwise, I think it's a really fun game.
Now, Dissidia, I initially was kind of going with sort of I was disappointed with a lot of changes they made, like only 1 HP attack per battle, no other brave attacks, no EX burst, no EX EX modes. That all really sucked. But even then, I still am actually having a lot of fun with the game. The game, and at least for me, I think because I set my expectations so low with what I was hearing, I'm overall really, still having a lot of fun with it. 3 versus 3, I like the 3 versus 3. I just kind of wish like they didn't kind of force it upon you. Like you can do 1 versus 1, or I think 2 versus 2, but I don't know if you can like just freely pick that option. And of course, you can really only do it online. But I mean, the summons I think are so much cooler and so much better integrated in the game than they were in the first 2. Like they were just like little pictures that popped up, and it's like, oh, your brave increased or something like that. But they just look amazing. The game just looks really beautiful in action, and it still is very satisfying hanging with brave and HP attacks. And like, it is a fairly more balanced game, I'd say. I think that's one reason for all those drastic changes. I just kind of wish there was maybe a way we could, have a Dissidia Classic option or something like that. But it is also still very fun and frantic. Sometimes it get a little too frantic. I do like that they still kept like running up walls and things like that, and I do kind of miss more of the interactivity. I do like how big the stages are. And I do like the whole class system. I do feel like it maybe makes certain characters feel less unique than they used to be because they have to like fit a certain archetype. But even still, I think it is a pretty cool thing, and it does balance things out more. I do like that there are more boss battles. They can be a huge pain in the ass. And I guess I'll talk about roster briefly with gameplay. Both games' rosters, they're not like amazing, but they are good. They're both kind of in, I guess, the mid-20s, the high 20s. Dissidia, I guess, has a slightly better roster, but to be fair, they've also kind of done this type of game with this series a couple more times. They have a little more of the basis down. I think both rosters are fairly safe, but with still some good choices. I would say I probably wouldn't like the Fighters roster as much if it didn't have Hidden Goku Black in it. I think it would be very, very, like, and I guess Android 21, I forgot about her. It would just be very safe and very plain, especially because it doesn't even have Bardock and Broly, but thankfully they're coming very soon, thankfully. Yes, I'm very happy about that. And not to go off subject, but I'm also really happy about Goku's new form, and that it's going to be playable in Xenoverse 2. It looks... But anyway, back on topic. Dissidia is also, I really did kind of wish it had more new characters in the base game. It sort of reminds me of Marvel's Capcom Infinite's roster, to be honest, a bit. However, Dissidia at least basically has brought back all of my main characters, and they even flat out said that all of the characters from the first 2 will be back at some point. So we at least know they're coming, so I can give them some leeway there. And I actually like all 4 new characters. I mean, more so Noctis and Ace. But I do actually like Y'shtola. I didn't think I'd care for her at all, but she is actually pretty cool, even though I never played 14. And Rams is pretty neat too. Like, he wasn't really someone I really wanted, but I know a lot of people wanted him. And he is a cool character. I do think Tactics deserves some representation. So both rosters are good, not amazing, but I think they're definitely going to improve over time. Alright, so now we talked a little bit about graphics, sound, gameplay controls. Now let's talk about replay value. When I mean replay value, I know some people kind of view this differently than others. I just mean like, what is there to do in the game? What will keep me playing it? And I know some people are like, oh, if the gameplay's good, I'll play it forever, Fair enough, but some of us kind of want a little more than that. And this is kind of where, I know I've been kind of saying like both games are great in kind of both ways and not much of a quality difference. This is where things kind of... let's just say sort of the tiebreaker, I'll put it that way. Dragon Ball FighterZ, it doesn't have like the greatest amount of things to do, but I actually think for what games the fighting games these days that like are kind of like these 2D, highly esports competitive games, I think it actually does a pretty good job. Like games like Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom, and even like Tekken are kind of like just not very for people that like single player. And yeah, FighterZ isn't like amazing in this area. I think Arxes have made games with better lots of single player and things to do, but it's certainly not bad. It is definitely at a satisfactory level. There's a story mode and arcade mode online, and there's a lot of like lobby avatars and colors and like titles and all that to unlock. And it is like kind of a loot box system, but it's kind of a harmless loot box system. Like you can't really use real money, and it's like it's not that really hard getting a capsule. I mean, yeah, I guess it is hard to get if you want certain colors and all that. It's kind of a crapshoot. But let me talk about the arcade and the story mode. The story mode, a lot of people don't like it. I'm actually going to say it might be actually one of my favorite story modes in a fighting game in a while. And here's why. In some videos I maybe complained, one of the things I kind of have an issue with in the fighting game story modes is that it forces you to be certain characters, and it usually leaves out the ability to play as some characters. Usually characters that I like villains, or maybe kind of more of the side heroes and things like that. And yeah, this game kind of still blows in that regard, mainly because like literally my top favorite characters are not usable in story mode. Two of them being Hit and Goku Black. I think it's clearly that they were late additions to the game because they're not in the story at all, which I guess I can understand, but it definitely has a point against it. And yeah, I do think the story mode is a bit too easy, but the reason I like it is because instead of it just being like fight and cutscene, fight and cutscene, fight and cutscene, now you're playing as this character, now you're playing as this character, it's divided into basically 3 sets of stories, kind of what-if scenarios. One is focused on primarily heroes, one is more so focused on villains, but you do get the heroes, and then one I think is just about like the androids. And you get to pick your teams when you unlock the characters. It's like a board game setup. I actually like the board game thing. I don't know, I know I'm in the minority there. But I just like there's kind of freedom to do different fights, different things you can unlock. You can kind of unlock these little things, and you play a certain amount of fights with a character. You just they just talk to you and stuff like that. I think that's cool. There's a lot of really neat interactions. There's just a little more freedom in it. I think there's a little more reasons to go back to the story mode, for me at least. And it's not like there's no cutscenes. There are cutscenes, and I think yeah, the story's not like anything amazing, but it is kind of neat. I think the character interactions I think are really make it, and I just like the format. The format's just a little more free to a little more free and open. And just kind of have it play this linear, story. Even if it is, you're still kind of just going the same path for the most part. I think it definitely, if it was expanded upon, it would be like really cool. And I think it would give me feel like a mode, for an older fighting game, like the PS2 era or something, the Soul Calibur game. Yeah, it would have been nice if it could be more characters. Maybe they'll add something like that. Probably not, but you never know. I think if it was improved a bit, I think it would be like, in my opinion, one of the best story modes in a fighting game. Like I said, I'm not about just seeing these big cinemas and all that. I like having some freedom, and at least yeah, you can't play as every villain, but at least let you play as some of the villains, for Christ's sake. And then the arcade mode's okay. I do like that there's different paths and there's different themed teams and stuff you fight. I think the 2 things that kind of hurt it though are that there's no arcade endings, which, to be honest, even disregarding this, new stupid trend of leaving arcade mode endings out. I kind of didn't see it happening for this type of game anyway, but I think what the other thing kind of sucks is basically, depending on how good you do, depends on who you'll fight next, and the better you do, the harder the next opponent's going to be. And it's not like, their AI is just going to be good. Not just their AI is going to be good, but their, the damage they dish out and the damage they can take will improve as well, which is kind of an artificial kind of difficulty, and I just don't like that you're forced to go that way if you do really well. So you kind of have to hold yourself back. You just kind of want to chill and do some fights, So I think that does kind of suck some of the fun out of it. Otherwise, it's an okay arcade mode. At least we freaking have one at this point. I think if the game just had one more single player mode, it would be great. But I like that there are some neat things to unlock, like lobby avatars and the colors. I don't mind, having to work for it a bit. It gives me a reason to come back and play the game more. I'm online. I'm not a huge online player, but I think a lot of us are really mad on how the whole, friend match did with a ring match where you can't really invite them. That I basically wasn't able to play with, Mark Art and his friend, because for some reason it was just, hating on me and not letting me play, but they couldn't invite me and I couldn't invite anyone, so we were kind of stuck having to do that. So they really need to fix that. Otherwise, I think I haven't really done much online. Like I said, I'm not really a huge online player, but that's that. Fighters is pretty satisfactory. It's not amazing. I think for what some other fighting games like these days, it's pretty good. I do like that they at least kind of considered, these people that just kind of want to play single player and unlock things. I think that's cool. Now, on to Dissidia. Well, let me say this. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. it was basically the number one thing I was worried about the game. Was like, you know, the amount of modes and single player aspects. The first two Dissidia games had like really good single player modes and a lot of cool stuff to do. And this game was like very focused on online and esports and all that, which I really do not think was a smart choice at all. But with that said, I still actually do have fun doing the single player modes. There is a story mode, but it's not a traditional story mode. Basically, like, you know, there's like this path, and you get these things I think called like memoriams, and you use them to kind of unlock, you know, the cutscenes and like fights. No, first of all, I actually know there wasn't going to be any fights. I thought it was literally just going to be cutscenes. So that was, I guess, sort of a nice surprise, even if it was part of my ignorance. But here's, like, I was initially really mad about that, but here's why it kind of grew on me. Now, I just complained about, you know, story modes forcing you to be certain characters, and, you know, usually leaving out some. Well, the cool thing with that system is I can be whoever the hell I want, play other modes, have fun and enjoy the game, and then unlock a memoria or whatever. You know, I could be kicking some asses like Sephiroth and Garland and Kuja, and then unlock more some cutscene with, like, I don't know, Cloud and Bart's talking, something like that. I think that's cool. You know, it allows me to kill two birds with one stone. You know, get the story, but also just kind of use whoever the hell I want. I mean, with that said, like, yeah, it would have sort of been nice if it just had a traditional arcade, you know, story mode. And I do think that they are. I think they did say they plan on adding more scenes as the game goes on, especially because some of the characters aren't in the story at all. Like Kane and Ace and Ramza aren't in at all, which is what the hell's up with that? And obviously you can't really be the villains much. I think a couple of villains you do get to be. And actually, here's the thing: the story mode, like the cutscenes, are like actually really good. At least way better than the PSP game. And you're thinking like, yeah, no crap, they're better. It's on a way more advanced system. But I don't just mean graphically. I mean just how they're done. I think in the scenes, the characters, just their interactions with each other don't seem as, like, I guess, as artificial, if that's the right word. And I feel like I like that they kind of reference more of their past games. Like Noctis talks about, like, his friends and stuff, Ignis and them. And, like, they actually acknowledge the worlds they're going to. It's not just, like they're just walking into a door and it's like, hey, I'm in Midgar. Not like it's just some generic backdrop. I think that's really cool. That definitely made the story enjoyable. And the summon fights are cool. I mean, they're ball buster, but they're pretty cool. And there is like kind of an arcade mode. It's called Gauntlet mode. It is actually fun enough, sort of like Fighters. However, well, here's the thing. The thing that sucks is like you don't really have continues. Like it is sort of like survival mode. Or if you lose, you can't continue, which does suck. The cool thing is though, you do actually kind of get to pick what difficulty the next fight will be, and so it's kind of like the reverse in a way. And you still can unlock stuff, and of course there's no arcade endings. I guess I definitely didn't expect it with that game. Not that it should be an excuse, but I can't fault it too much for that. The problem is that's basically it. Like, there's online, of course. And I think the online plays way smoother than Fighters. I've actually played it more, but that's also, I think, because I don't have as much of a choice. I think one of the biggest problems with the Dissidia game, it kind of forces certain things on you. Like, they want you to do 3 versus 3. They want you to do online. It's like, I don't know. Fighters just doesn't seem to, have that problem as much. And I will say this: I actually think the things you can unlock in Dissidia are actually kind of cooler than Fighters. But I think it might be because the way the game is, there's a bit more room for that. Like, I really like, for instance, in the first 2 Dissidia games, there were alternates, but sometimes they were just alternate colors, sometimes they were alternate outfits. In Dissidia NT, they will have everyone has at least 2, everyone at least has 1 alternate outfit, and then every outfit has 3 other colors. So usually they actually sometimes got the colors that they had in the first 2 games in. It's just one of the alternate colors and an alternate costume on top of it. Like some characters have a bit more. I know, like I think Lightning and Noctis have, I think, 1 more alternate, and I know their extra alternates you can't change the color. I am hoping they're going to add more outfits later on, but I also think it's really cool that you can actually unlock alternate weapons the characters. I think every character has at least 2 alternate weapons, skins. And, you know, they're not different stats or anything, it's just appearance. So it's not like, you know, if you like the look of one weapon, it's not going to affect, you know, how much damage you're doing away. It's just, you know, whatever you like the most. Simple as that. And I think that's really cool. That's definitely some of the first 2 didn't have. Like, I give them huge props there. And I hope they continue to have more weapons and all that. Like, there are some things that NT has done better than the first 2, but it's like, it just feels like there needs to be more. I think they just force way too much, you know, just to do things a certain way. The whole esports idea, I think that's ultimately the issue, is that the game just doesn't know who it's kind of aiming for, who it's trying to appeal to. There's people like me that played the first 2 Dissidias, we just, you know, like doing the single player modes. And like, yeah, I was actually upset that, you know, I couldn't really play with my friends that much because they needed a PSP and they needed the game. And how many of my friends had both have PSP and the game? I wasn't, I think, until I, you know, got to college that I actually met some people that had the PSP and the game. And, yeah, that was fun. But and that is another thing. While there is online, there's no local multiplayer. So if your friends are over and you want to play, guess what? You're screwed. Fighterz doesn't have that issue. Yeah, I know that's kind of where, like, you know, the difference in game styles comes in. Like, I know it would be more taxing on the system, especially how the HUD is. Dissidia to do local multiplayer, but it's like you couldn't have just done 1 versus 1. You tone down the HUD, and, you know, I wouldn't mind if it didn't run as smoothly. It's like, it's better than nothing. Like, Xenoverse has local multiplayer. It's not the greatest local multiplayer, but it's goddamn better than nothing. And, you know, yeah, like, admittedly, I don't do much with my friends, but that's also because there's tons of Dragon Ball Z fighting games we can play with each other, play with together. And now we have Fighterz too, but there's not many Final Fantasy fighting games that we can play with together. And it's really annoying that, you know, they finally make a new one, but it's like they gotta cut the options down. And I think that's ultimately the thing that holds the game back. I know, unfortunately, the game is not doing that well critically. I don't know about sales-wise. I think it's doing, like, okay sales-wise, not, like, great. And, like, yeah, I mean, it is disappointing. And, like, I do like the game, and I do kind of wish it was doing better. But I kind of understand some of the criticisms, and I think it kind of does need to be criticized for some of these things, and they need to fix it. Like, the game could be so much better, but they just chose this. I just feel like they kind of chose a lazy approach to it. A lazy kind of just, you know, safe approach instead of, you know, I think they just need to win over, you know, the people that are fans of the first 2 games. I know they wanted to do something different, and I respect that, but there's a difference between doing something different and wanting to go to new people than just kind of saying F you to the people that, you know, play the game and enjoyed in the first place. So, while I really like both games, and I think they're 2, you know, really good starts to the year, you know, I'm gonna keep playing them and, you know, seeing where they go as time goes on, things they're adding. I know they just confirmed for Dissidia they're adding a stage for tactics, and they're adding 6 more characters. And, you know, as I mentioned in other videos, they still haven't set any of the characters yet. Fighterz at least has, you know, we got 2 of them now. I'm gonna have to say the better overall experience, for now at least, in my opinion, is Dragon Ball Fighterz. I think it was a pretty obvious thing. I mean, Fighterz has been getting mostly universal praise, while NT has been, yeah, its butt kicked a bit. But even still, you know, I do really enjoy both games. And like I said, I actually think NT might have the potential for it to be a, you know, more fun experience. Maybe they just add more stuff. Because Fighterz, like, I kind of think, I know they might be adding more modes. But of course, it seems like they're mostly just going to be online modes, which I don't really understand because, you know, most of the people that enjoy just playing online competitive, they just kind of enjoy playing the game, you know, that one way, just fighting other people, ranked match or casual match. But the people that want single player modes, we want other stuff to do. So I don't really understand that, but we'll see what happens. I think I'd like to say that, you know, with how Square Enix has treated like games like Final Fantasy 14 and even Final Fantasy 15, that they are going to want to listen to fan feedback and try to, like, you know, improve the game. I just kind of hope it's done well enough for them to feel like they can do that. But yeah, I'm going to have to say, if you love both series and you're kind of stuck on which one to get, I would say go with Fighterz for now. I think that's your safest bet. I just feel like Fighterz has a bit more love to it, love put into it. I feel like it's just a more complete experience. Like, yeah, it's not perfect. It could be better. But also, this is like technically their first time doing this kind of game, while Square Enix has kind of done Dissidia twice, and they kind of made like needless changes for silly reasons. So yeah, that's what I think of both games right now. Like I said, things could change, and if they add more stuff in. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Have you played any of these games? Which one do you like better? Are you more of a DBZ fan? Are you more of a Final Fantasy fan? Was it totally pointless to make this video? Like it if you dislike it, dislike it if you dislike it. Don't forget to check out marking on in the description below.
And as I always say, keep being awesome.